Just a couple of things that do strike me, by the way. Former guy clearly has no idea how to find a decent lawyer. Bearing in mind, he started with Michael Cohen, then had Giuliani, Yabba Dabba Doo got involved, and now this Todd Blanche character. Well, he's out of his depth. From what I can work, they haven't even got at this stage anyone to put on stand as defence. What, is Trump himself going to stand up there and spout on about witch hunters and all this garbage he says as he goes in and out of the court? How come they're not taking this serious? This is a trial. Unbelievable. There's no plan A, there's no plan B, there's no plan C. All he's done is write notes and spread them to his friends at Fox and likes who've tried to find their way around gag orders. And Todd Blanche is just, you've seen a career go up in flames. I mean, if you were trying to write a comedy, you wouldn't get it close. You wouldn't. If you were trying to write a serious project based around a former president in court, you'd be miles off point.
Through numerous witnesses,
Right.
early on, through, David Pecker, through White House officials, through to Hope Hicks, saying that, he's the fixer because he breaks everything. So almost by the time we get to Monday, where Michael Cohen comes in, the jury's expecting this big bad wolf who's going to scream and shout and carry on. And he just wasn't that. He was very cool, calm, under pressure. And then fast forward when the cross comes. And, I was sitting there expecting, this full frontal, well thought out, very strategic, very, planned out. And it just was this scattergun approach that you're just like, oh, he's a jilted lover, or he's leaking stories, or he's in it for the money. And they just didn't land a blow there. And, I'm very curious where we go to, tomorrow, where if they recalibrate, if they come up with some other strategy, because they're going to need to. They're going to need to do something here.
Right.
They haven't addressed the bits of paper. This
Right.
comes back to all of these documents, Nicole. They haven't addressed any of that. The recording, that dynamite recording between Cohen and David Pecker. They need to actually address some of this hard evidence, and that's where tomorrow is going to become very essential.
Do we know if it's a normal thing to not know yet if you're going to put on a case?
We'll
put this on our list for Andrew Weissman.
No, I think that we're dealing with the reality that tomorrow the prosecution could wrap up after its redirect of Michael Cohen, if they so choose to, and that this could come down to closing arguments as soon as Monday, and this could be sent to the jury Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we could have a ruling next week. For the defense, it is difficult to fathom them not bringing anybody forward. And I only say that, again, not from a legal expert place, but from a place of understanding Donald Trump and his politics, is that you go into the ring, right? Today it was about presidential litigation. Let's get ready to rumble. He likes to fight, right? He wants every opportunity because he truly believes that not only is he his best spokesman, but he also hires the best. And so he has publicly said that his attorneys are doing well on his behalf. But ultimately, let's see next week if his team actually brings a case forward here, because the difficulty for him is that he has watched an array of individuals, including Hope Hicks, Madeline Westerhout, very close individuals to him, come in and testify and provide evidence that could ultimately be what leads to a guilty verdict for him.
And it started with David Pecker, I think, who sort of, if he didn't present the smoking gun, he loaded it. Hope Hicks, carried it around, and then it was pulled by those real bombshell documents. And the idea that nothing would be presented to refute what jurors have seen with their eyes and ears feels like a risk that someone like Trump, he certainly didn't take it with the voters in 2016 when he made sure that Pecker would, smear his opponents and hide the stories that threatened him.
And you asked me live on air, you were also on, mate, what does David Pecker know? And I said a lot before he got on the stand. And he really was the ultimate tour guide, wasn't he? He took us through back to that meeting in August of 2015, which really is the scene setter for a lot of this, where he goes to meet with Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. And they ask him, what can you do for the campaign? He says, I'll be the eyes and ears. I'll purchase negative stories off the market and we'll run negative stories about your rivals. And then we've gone on to hear this case.
One second. Hold your nose. Something stinks. BULLSHI, you know what?
All right,
right, first, let's take some quick takes on the atmosphere in the courtroom today, where I was. Now, to give you a sense of what the GOP frontrunner has been dealing with these past 3 weeks, the air is musty, the floors are old, tan, brown linoleum, remember those? And the benches hard oak, with a stress on the word hard.
Quite how you get to a situation that anybody can actually think the former guy's credibility is above Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. Let's face it, you probably wouldn't even trust former guy to be able to open and close the door without something dodgy going on.
How do you get to the point where you think Stormy Daniels and Jughead Cohen are more credible than Donald J. Trump?
And the posse should be growing. We should have had the entire House and Senate Republican caucus outside that courthouse, speaking on behalf of a president who's unfairly gagged by a judge who donates to Biden.
This really is the worst VP who wants to VP. I can't even say it. The worst reality who wants to be a VP ever. You've not seen the worst bit. You really haven't. Here it is.
We're here in court with President Trump standing with him, but we need you to stand with him too. Go to DonaldJTrump.com. Support President Trump in his efforts to win this election. These Democrats are nuts and they must be defeated.
Anything you can give would make a world of difference. We are here fighting the good fight. They cannot win. We need your help to make America great again.
This year, now or never for the country. Step up. Save this country. We're counting on you. We know the lawfare that's going on, and only you can make the difference. Stand with President Trump the way we stand with him today. Look at what they're doing to him, and just remember his words. They're not coming after him. They're coming after you, and he's just in the way.
Let's make America great again. And he's the man to do it.
He's the man.
I'll admit, at this stage, Rick Wilson from the Lincoln Project, there's got to be somebody somewhere who can just explain what we've just seen.
What is the calculus, if you will, of how that campaign is going to go about choosing a potential VP?
There's a sort of singularity around the third question, around the third issue. And you can see this in the behavior of the Veep-stakes candidates last week. You can see it with J.D. Vance coming to kiss the ring and Rick Scott coming to kiss the ring in the court proceedings here in Manhattan. And at the end of the day, Trump is looking for someone who's not Mike Pence. He doesn't want someone who is going to defy him ever. And so
right,
they're
to the
all
actual
going out and
details
trying
of
to
the
have
court
these
case,
displays of
I think
absolute
this particular
obedience to
moment
Donald
is
Trump.
rather relevant.
Exchange here about the payments to Stormy Daniels, which was ground they covered yesterday. Hoffinger says, why in fact did you pay that money to Stormy Daniels? Cohen says, to ensure that the story would not come out, would not affect Mr. Trump's chances of becoming president of the United States. Hoffinger, not for the campaign, Mr. Cohen. Would you have paid that money to Stormy Daniels? Cohen says, no, ma'am. Todd Blanche issues an objection. The judge overrules it, says you can answer. Cohen says, no, ma'am. Then Hoffinger asks, at whose direction and on whose behalf did you commit that crime? And then Cohen says, on behalf of Mr. Trump. I do wonder if...
we could call this the dumbest comment of the day. Instead, we'll just title it, just a Bible salesman and his handler.
Get it twisted. What we are seeing is 100% them afraid that Trump is and probably will beat them. He is beating them in court. He is not campaigning, and it is petrifying everybody that has done wrong against any Republican and, frankly, Americans in this country. It's a joke. Well, that's 100% right. They intentionally choose these venues. If you look at all the venues that he's been carried and indicted into, they're all blue areas, right? D.C.
You know what I'd love to see is a full one-on-one roast. Never mind having a presidential debate. Let's have a joke-off. My money's on Biden. Look how sharp.
Trump said today China is eating our lunch. What do you say in response? He said China is eating our lunch. That's what Trump said today. We've been feeding it a long time.
I don't know how we get a message to the judge who's presiding over the hush money case in New York, but I'd love him to see this. Basically, Trump thinks he's found a way around breaking the gag order, which is giving notes to his mates over at Fox News or multimillionaire representatives who turn up and do the same thing.
You wearing the red tie? Yeah, Vivek, I'm wearing the red tie. You got the note about the judge's daughter? I got it, Doug. Byron, you got it? I mean, it is not, they're not even trying to hide what they're doing here.
In court yesterday, actually, I was sitting close enough that I could actually look over Trump's shoulder and see what he was reading. At one point, he was actually reading the quotes that these individuals were, and going through and making notations with a pen on the paper.
Before or after?
While testimony was going on, while Michael Cohen was testifying against him, he was actually going through and annotating and editing the quotes that these people were going to say.
I mean, in addition...
Hopefully we have more and more senators and congressmen go up every day to represent him and be able to go out and overcome this gag order. And that's one of the reasons we went, is to be able to speak our piece for President Trump.
Well, that's good. You know, if he can't speak on the sham this trial is, they can't put you under a gag order. Not yet, the way.
What is the old line? You always know when someone is lying, their lips are moving. This particular guy you're about to see, it's incredible. I mean, he really does believe the garbage that he comes out with. Maybe he should play poker, because let's face it, he's literally bluffing us all. If he really does believe what he's saying, then do you know what? Give him some therapy or some meds as soon as possible, because he's like, it's not all working.
One thing that sitting there listening to Michael Cohen testify, which is, of course, who you're referring to, I mean, Donald Trump hired Michael Cohen. So for everything that you just said, I mean, that is the person that Donald Trump chose to be his personal attorney.
Well, I think, yes, that's true that he did hire him.
You just noted that the judge has been a Democratic donor. I believe it was to the tune of $35. And then you also mentioned his daughter and her political work. That was something also that the former president repeatedly attacked him for and attacked her for on social media, until his gag order that he's under right now was expanded to include members of the judge's family and also members of the prosecution's family. Did Donald Trump ask you to come out and criticize the judge's daughter?
No, not whatsoever. And I'm here completely as a volunteer.
A volunteer. Things have got to be pretty bad when you're a volunteer and you're dressed just like former guy. Word of advice, though, to that particular gentleman, I think the red tie is meant to be right the way down to your feet. Dana Perino she's on the funny farm as well. Do you know the name she's given these sycophants?
Congressmen and senators, etc. You met some of them.
Donald Trump is gagged, but he's finding a voice in his Avenger-style lineup of surrogates, wannabe vice presidential candidates and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, all of whom have shown up to court with him.
It's very weird,
President
isn't
Trump
it?
is
What are those
innocent
sycophants
of
in
these
their red
charges.
ties have got time to
And again,
see
anyone with
former
common
guy in
sense-
court, but Melania Trump, nowhere. Very strange. Something even stranger as well. During the White House press briefing on Tuesday, I can't bother to play the clip, but I'll let you know what happened. There were some reporters upset